Hello, fellow classmates. I hope you had a good week this week. My topic was postmortem caloricity, and my name is Brittany Chandler. I currently reside here in Texas, specifically Tyler. That's in the East Texas area. And I also currently work for SCI, specifically Dignity Memorial in Longview, Texas. Again, my topic was postmortem caloricity, and I chose this because I found this topic particularly peculiar. I'd never heard of most of the terms in this class so far, but this one seemed like the most interesting one to me, so I quickly chimed in on it. So let's continue and figure out what we can learn this week. So to introduce you to the lesson here, we're going to go over what postmortem caloricity is, why it occurs, uh, considerations on the cellular level, common causes for postmortem caloricity, examples of reactions of postmortem caloricity, observed cases, and implications for embalmers. So what is postmortem caloricity? According to G. Mascarello, postmortem caloricity is a rise in body temperature after death due to metabolism still occurring at the cellular level. So that's creating more heat. And Bardell adds that this phenomenon is observed for the first 2 hours or so in bodies after death, but as we'll see later, some of the cases can last up to 19-20 hours that have been previously observed, but generally it's going to last up to 2 or so hours after death. And it's not really a common condition because the increase in temperature is higher than what most bodies go through prior to cooling, and most bodies actually cool during the first 2 hours after somatic death rather than heat up. So why does postmortem caloricity occur? Well, this condition is based off the manner and cause of death, and both play factors in why cellular metabolism creates more heat after death than cooling. They both affect the way the cells metabolize. So somatic death, as a reminder, is the irreversible loss of function of the brain, heart, and lungs. And it means that the cellular metabolism is altered leading up to somatic death, which affects how the cells metabolize following somatic death. So considerations at the cellular level for heat production include basic cellular metabolism, which is the chemical processes within a cell that create energy or break down other molecules. So with the creation of energy is the creation of heat. Cellular oxidation also is a chemical reaction that involves the loss of electrons by a molecule, as stated by De La Cruz and Holmes, page 562. The basic definition of caloricity is physiological ability to develop and maintain bodily heat, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary. So if you put all these together, the post-mortem caloricity is the cell's ability to create and produce and maintain heat within the body even after somatic death. So some common causes for post-mortem caloricity, according to Carmaker and Bardell, include meningitis, fevers caused by disease, cerebral hemorrhages and injury to the brain, specifically around like the spinal cord, tetanus, septicemia, bacteremia, heat stroke, asphyxiation, and poisoning, including alcohol poisoning. Some examples of reactions that could create postmortem caloricity, you can see in this chart, they do include the septicemia as previously mentioned, and the reason why postmortem caloricity would occur in septicemia would be the increased production of heat because of the cellular metabolism. Infectious diseases also increase production of heat. Sunstroke or heat stroke is a heat regulation center disturbed in the brain and in the sympathetic nervous system. So your body is not responding or reacting to heat the way it normally would, and so you're not regulating your heat well enough to remain stable or in homeostasis. Pontine hemorrhage would be also heat regulation center disturbed, such as in heat stroke and sunstroke. Tetanus, it would be heat production due to muscular activity. So straining of the muscles, infections in the muscles will create tension, which creates kinetic energy, which creates heat. And strychnine is the heat production due to muscular activity again. So the same reasoning as tetanus. So as you can see the chart, the body reacts to stimuli and conditions very differently, but all of these situations would result in postmortem caloricity. So for the body to fight infection, the body's temperature rises to try to metabolize and destroy the infection. And if the body gets heat stroke, its sympathetic heat regulation system becomes disrupted because of the excess external heat. And when the muscles are attacked by infections, such as in tetanus and strychnine, their metabolic rate increases, which increases heat. Some observed cases were due to yellow fever, and those were observed by Dr. Bennett Fowler in the mid-1800s, and he noted those cases following the deaths of some of his patients. So, for example, he noted some observations that included temperatures rising or remaining as high as about 106 degrees after death. Temperatures remained high for as long as about 19 hours. I believe that was the longest one that he had observed. And all areas of the body experienced postmortem caloricity, including the eyes and the genitals. So all areas of the body were equally affected. Maybe not in temperature, but they were affected by postmortem caloricity. The thighs contained the most amount of heat on the body. The thighs remained the hottest for the longest amount of time as well. And this might be due to the fact that thighs contain the most amount of fat and insulation in the body, and fat stores toxins and viruses, and it also insulates heat. So that could be, those could be two good reasons as to why the thighs were observed to be the most affected for the longest amount of time. So what does this mean for us as embalmers? According to Bardell, on page 143 of his article, the time of death can be estimated based on the amount of time the postmortem caloricity is observed. And you should probably allow the body to cool prior to embalming, going through postmortem caloricity, because you don't necessarily know how the body will react with the embalming chemicals if it is going through an abnormal condition. So you might want to just give a little bit of time until you can anticipate what the body is going to do once you're beginning the embalming process and throughout it. A delay in cooling can prevent rigor mortis, and so a body with postmortem caloricity will take longer to get into rigor mortis once the condition is passed. So you should embalm and treat the body as normal because it will eventually enter rigor mortis, but again, you might want to allow a little bit of time. And of course, documentation is key. You always want to document the condition and time of the postmortem caloricity on the embalming analysis. And documentation of this is very important in case the family has any questions or decides to take action for any distress they might experience if something does not go as expected while embalming. And you will also want to cover your bases as normal. Again, universal precautions, because a lot of these actually most, if not all of these cases will have some type of infectious disease that they had suffered from prior if it wasn't due to heat stroke or sunstroke. Continued implications for embalmers would include paying attention to postmortem stain, since postmortem caloricity can occur due to poisoning. And as we've learned thus far in this course, postmortem stain is due to types of gas poisoning, specifically carbon monoxide poisoning. Most postmortem caloricity is caused due to the cause of death and the manner of death, including poisoning, as previously mentioned. And this also does include alcohol poisoning, because types of poisonings restrict oxygen to the body and to the cells, which creates heat due to the cellular metabolism. And again, practice universal precautions. These cases could have communicable diseases that could be fatal if contracted. So you're always going to want to wear your PPE, proper PPE, and adequate PPE. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you learned something today with me. and I look forward to spending the rest of the semester with you all.